Tonight what we're going to be learning about is the last required type of naming that you guys are going to be expected to do on the test, and that is for what we call acidic compounds. So how do you identify an acidic compound? Very easily, it always starts with hydrogen. Okay, so that because it starts with hydrogen, it makes it extremely special. So anything now that starts with a hydrogen, we are going to start using, and this should not say ionic, this should say acidic nomenclature or acidic naming techniques. All right, so the rules to go from name to formula. First, you have to identify an acid. So how do you identify it? If it's a word, you're going to have acid as the last word. And because all acids start with a hydrogen as its cation, the only thing different between all acids are your anions. And so that's where your naming becomes different. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at, when you have the words, you're going to look at the prefix and the ending. So in this case, the ending is ic acid. Okay, so we've got that ic acid. And then we have this hydro prefix. Okay, so I've got a lovely little table right here, and I also have the words down here. Okay, so I'm going to look for where it's a hydroic acid, which is this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out the formula. So it says drop the hydroic acid and change to ide. So if I drop these guys off and I change my ending, now I'm ending with chloride. So find the ion on the periodic table or ion sheet. So chloride is Cl with a -1 charge. And then it says crisscross this ion with H plus to get its formula. So when you crisscross it, you end up with H1Cl1. And there's your acid, HCl, hydrochloric acid. All right, next one. It has acid as the last word, so we've identified it as an acid. So now we're going to have to check the prefix, which there is none. So we're going to have to check the ending, which is us acid. So when I look for us acid, it's right here or it's right here, okay, on that table. So us acid came from ite, okay? So what it's saying in this first step is drop the us acid, so drop this whole guy so you don't see it, and change it to 8. So what I'm looking for is chlorate. Anything with that 8 or an ite ending is going to be found on that ion sheet on your periodic table. So we're going to be looking for chlorate, which according to here is ClO3 with a -1 charge. And that's where we found the ion on the ion sheet for this case. Crisscross this with the H plus because all acids have that hydrogen, and we end up with HClO3. Last one is nitric acid that we're going to try this way. So once again, I see the word acid, so I know I'm dealing with an acid. I'm going to check the prefix, which there is no hydro, and then I'm going to figure out, oh, I've got an ic acid. So I know according to this chart, it's going to come from an 8, and according to this, it says drop the ic acid and add an 8 ending. So I'm looking for nitrate. Okay, what is nitrate? So you're going to look on your periodic table or your ion sheet because it is an 8 ending. You know you're going to be on the ion sheet, which nitrate is NO3 with a -1 charge. So then you're going to say crisscross this with your H plus, okay, because all, once again, acids have that hydrogen as its first element, so we get HNO3. All right, now we're going to try it the other way. So I'm giving you the formula and you have to go to the name. So how do you identify it? It starts with the a hydrogen. It doesn't mean that it has a hydrogen in it, it makes it an acid. It's that it actually starts with that hydrogen element, okay? So now you're going to check the anions ending. So the anion in this case is everything but that H, so it's SO4. Well, what is SO4? So I'm going to look at SO4 in here, which is sulfate, okay? So it came with an 8 ending. So what does it tell me to do? Okay, it tells me to drop that 8 ending and change it to ic acid. So this would be sulfic acid. Now, for sulfur and for phosphate and sulfate, what you do is it doesn't become sulfic, you make it sulfuric. It just sounds smoother, so that's what they do. So instead of phosphic acid, they say phosphoric acid to kind of add that OR. But normally this rule does totally apply where you just drop the 8 ending and you add an ic. Okay, sorry, the next one starts with an H, so I can identify it as an acid. Check my anions ending. So in this case, I've got Cl, which is not found on the ion sheet because it is a single element. So therefore, I'm going to look at my periodic table, and I get chloride. Okay, because it has that charge of a -1. So it says drop the ending and change it to hydroic acid. So if I drop chloride, what I'm going to do is add hydro as my prefix. So it's hydrochlor, and then add ic acid as my ending. There you go. All right, and then my last one, well, actually, I don't think this is my last one, but my last actual example problem is HClO. So it starts with an H, so I know that it's going to be a hydrogen. I'm going to look at that ClO for the anion, ClO. So if I'm looking, ClO is right here. So it's hypochlorite. So it has that ite ending. So it says drop the ite and change it to us acid. So it'd be hypochlor instead of ite, it's chlorus acid. All right, a little tip to help remember that little table from the previous pages is if you remember the sentence, I ate something icky at the White House. Ate goes to ic, so if I had like nitrate, it would go to nitric acid. Ite goes to us, so if it was nitrite, it would go to nitrous acid. So ate goes to ic and ite goes to us. Okay, that would help you with that first part. And then if there's no O, add the prefix of hydro. So what that means if there's no oxygen present. Oxygen. So like CN, okay, there's no oxygen here, so I would need a prefix of hydro for that one. So why? Because this is cyanide. Okay, because the ides tend to not have that oxygen present. So it says get rid of that and add my hydro. So it's hydro and then cyanic acid if it was, let's say, HCN. Okay, so that's what it's talking about. If there's no O, so add the prefix hydro. Otherwise, you got ate goes to ic and ite goes to us. All right, have a good evening. Hopefully you understand a little bit more about how to name acids.